Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Marinelli Podcast. In today's episode, I will take a look at the NFL draft order ahead of the Week 16 games and do a mock draft for the top 10 teams based on positions of need and on a best player available basis. So first, let's take a look at the draft order after Week 15. So this is before the Thursday Night Football game between the Jets and the Jaguars. So the Houston Texans have the first overall pick at 1-12-1. The Chicago Bears have the second overall pick at 3-11. The Seattle Seahawks have the third overall pick at 7-7 via the Denver Broncos, who are 4-10. The Detroit Lions have the fourth overall pick at 7-7 via the Rams, who are 4-10. The 4-10 Arizona Cardinals have the fifth overall pick. The 4-9-1 Indianapolis Colts have the sixth overall pick. The 5-9 Atlanta Falcons have the seventh overall pick. The 5-9 Carolina Panthers have the 8th overall pick. The 13-1 Philadelphia Eagles have the 9th overall pick via the New Orleans Saints, who are 5-9. And then finally, the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 6-8, have the 10th overall pick. What's wild about this is the amount of teams who are currently in the playoff hunt and have top 10 picks, and also the fact that both Atlanta and Carolina, 5-9, they are only one game back from the division lead, which Tampa Bay currently holds. Okay, so now let's take a look at the team needs. So for Houston, the primary needs are quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, and defensive tackle, and then secondary needs are edge, inside linebacker, and safety. For the Chicago Bears, the primary needs are wide receiver, offensive tackle, linebacker, and guard. The secondary needs are center, defensive tackle, and an edge. Seattle, the primary needs are center, defensive end, inside linebacker, receiver. The secondary needs are offensive guard, edge, quarterback, and cornerback. The Detroit Lions, their primary needs are cornerback, tight end, outside linebacker, offensive guard. Their secondary needs are defensive line, inside linebacker, and quarterback. The Arizona Cardinals, primary needs are offensive tackle, edge rusher, cornerback, wide receiver. Their secondary needs are offensive guard, center, safety, and cornerback. The Indianapolis Colts, their primary needs are quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, and tight end. And their secondary needs are outside linebacker, offensive guard, and then defensive line, particularly the nose tackle position, so defensive tackle. The Atlanta Falcons, their primary needs are offensive guard, defensive tackle, defensive end, edge rusher, and their secondary needs are wide receiver, offensive tackle, cornerback, and outside linebacker. Carolina Panthers, primary needs are quarterback, tight end, and edge rusher, and their secondary needs are defensive tackle, center, and inside linebacker. The Philadelphia Eagles, their primary needs are edge rusher and offensive guard, and then their secondary needs are linebacker and safety. And the Las Vegas Raiders, their primary needs are defensive tackle, offensive guard, cornerback, and their secondary needs are offensive tackle, outside linebacker, and defensive end. So let's take a look and mock draft for these top 10 teams based on positions of need and best player available. So first overall, I have the Texans taking Bryce Young, quarterback from Alabama. Bryce Young is historically undersized compared to many successful current NFL quarterbacks, but he's been excellent for an Alabama team that lacks playmakers compared to years prior, with guys like Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, among others, catching the ball. Young has all the intangibles to succeed: power, accuracy, football IQ, field vision. He can extend plays by scrambling outside the pocket and take off to get yards with his legs. He progresses through his reads quickly, makes good decisions, and limits his turnovers, which is huge in the NFL. His awareness of incoming pressure will need to continue to improve. However, he has the physical traits to climb out of the pocket to avoid it, so it's just going to take some getting used to. The second overall pick, I think the Bears are going to take Will Anderson Jr., an edge rusher from Alabama. So the Bears desperately need help at wide receiver and on the offensive line to help their franchise quarterback, Justin Fields. However, I think that can be addressed with later picks. This is one of those picks where it's a best player available basis. Anderson Jr. is a slam dunk pick and will make an immediate impact, and he should help replace the production of Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith. He has a strong, compact frame with a long wingspan. He's explosive, has a nose for the quarterback, accelerates with ease off the line, and can navigate through congested areas. He is agile, can get around defenders, and he's very efficient at shedding blocks with his plethora of pass rush moves, which is important. Third overall, I have the Seattle Seahawks taking Jalen Carter, defensive line from Georgia. The Seattle Seahawks had a much better season than many expected, and will now get a high draft pick thanks to the Denver Broncos' struggles this season. The Seahawks could use some help at center on the offensive line, at safety, and at linebacker, but at this point, Jalen Carter at defensive tackle is the best player available, and his skill sets and intangibles will help bolster an already strong Seahawks defensive front. He's a big body in the middle of the defensive line and can efficiently stop the run, and for his size, he has exceptional pass rushing abilities as well. Now, fourth overall, the Detroit Lions are going to select Kelee Ringo, cornerback, Georgia. The Lions desperately need help in the secondary to strengthen that part of their defense. Ringo is a long, physical cornerback that has the ability to guard bigger slot receivers and even tight ends. He excels tremendously in man coverage, possesses great speed and athleticism, and is excellent at reading routes and jumping in front of them. He's great at tracking the ball and can change direction well to follow receivers. He plays great press coverage and can steer receivers towards the sideline without getting grabby and drawing penalties. Sometimes, however, his overconfidence makes him take unnecessary risks, which causes mistakes, and him getting burned, but that can all be fixed. Fifth overall, the Arizona Cardinals are going to select Tyree Wilson, edge rusher from Texas Tech. This draft is very, very strong. Edge rushers, defensive linemen, and pretty strong quarterbacks too. The skill players like receiver and running back and even offensive line, it's still strong, but it's not as strong as the other positions. Anyways, the Cardinals need help rushing the passer alongside J.J. Watt, and Wilson will provide that. He's still a very raw talent, but he has all the physical tools and intangibles. He's an energetic, athletic, high-motor player who consistently overpowers opponents, sheds blocks, and finds his way into the backfield to stop the run or to pressure the quarterback. He has a very big frame, is very physical, and is always willing to go against the biggest and strongest offensive linemen. He is agile for his size and has an explosive burst off the line of scrimmage. As he develops into a more mature player and as he develops more pass rushing moves, he will be a force to reckon with. He will be a force to be reckoned with for a while. The sixth overall pick. I think the Indianapolis Colts are going to go quarterback here. I think they're going to take C.J. Stroud, quarterback from Ohio State. Clearly, the Matt Ryan project has failed miserably. C.J. Stroud has the potential and talent to be the next franchise quarterback in Indianapolis. Stroud is a natural leader with great instincts who can quickly and efficiently progress through his reads. He throws a powerful and accurate ball on both intermediate routes and short routes, and has the arm strength to put balls into tight windows 20 to 25 yards downfield. He gets the ball out quickly and spreads it to multiple different wide receivers. He has an NFL-level arm and can get the ball from the hash mark to the opposite sideline very quickly. And he's very accurate quarterback even on the run, which is great for extending plays. He puts the ball in positions to allow his receivers to get yards after the catch. So his ball placement and just his situational awareness is fantastic. And he can extend runs by climbing the pocket or scrambling out of the pocket. He's a very dual threat quarterback, if you will. Seventh overall, the Falcons are going to select Myles Murphy, defensive line from Clemson. The Falcons need help in a lot of positions on the offensive line to protect their young quarterback, and wide receivers to be weapons for Desmond Ridder, some help rushing the passer, and some help in the secondary. However, they also need some help on the defensive line, stopping the run and generating a pass rush. And that's where Murphy comes in. At 6'5", 278 pounds, and only 20 years old, he is an edge defender with a big, strong frame and can play at multiple positions on the defensive line, including defensive edge, end, and tackle. He possesses elite versatility, athleticism, and speed, and is very effective at chasing down plays in the backfield or downfield. He is great at getting off blocks and has a plethora of pass rush moves to win around the edge. And at 20 years old, that's very impressive. Again, as he gets older, he's going to become even more of a weapon. Okay, 8th overall. So Carolina has a variety of needs, but I think their biggest needs are quarterback, tight end, and edge rusher. And I think they go quarterback here with Kentucky's Will Levis. Again, the Panthers could select an edge rusher or an interior defensive lineman here with this pick, and their other biggest need at tight end can be filled later in the draft. And heck, even edge rusher Jared Verse is a problem when healthy, and he has all the intangibles to rush the passer. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go for someone like that here. I I think, however, the Panthers draft a potential franchise quarterback to replace Sam Darnold, which is another experiment that hasn't worked out. Will Levis has amazing potential to succeed in an NFL level, despite a 2022 season plagued by injuries and poor play. He completed 65% of his passes for 2,400 plus yards, 19 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He has a good skill set, a high football IQ, and is very accurate, but tends to hold onto the ball too long and is prone to turnovers in key situations, which will hurt his team, and obviously that will need work before he becomes a true NFL starter. But the intangibles are there, he just needs to develop that talent. 9th overall, I think the Eagles are going to take Ohio State offensive lineman Paris Johnston Jr. Now, at 13-1, the Eagles don't need much of anything right now. They're already arguably the most complete team in the NFL, but Paris Johnson will help keep an aging Eagles offensive line among the top units in the league for years to come. Johnston is a consistent and solid, and he is always willing to learn and improve, which are things you want in an offensive lineman. He is versatile, and although he's a natural tackle, he has lots of experience at guard and can play there too. He may start his career at guard and can replace tackle Lane Johnson when he retires. I think that's the Eagles want to think kind of long-term with this pick here. But yeah, so Johnson is 6'6", 310 pounds, is extremely physical, and gets a very explosive burst off the line of scrimmage, enough to push back even the strongest defenders. The gaps he creates in run blocking are so unbelievable to watch. It's like there's so much space, and the entirety of the Eagles' offensive line already does that. So you throw his talent in there, man, the Eagles running backs are going to feast. And finally, 10th overall, the Las Vegas Raiders will take Peter Skoronski, a Northwestern offensive lineman. The Raiders could add depth to the interior of their defensive line, could add to their pass rush, or bolster their secondary. However, adding more depth to the offensive line to open up an already electric run game with Josh Jacobs and giving Derek Carr more time to throw would be their best move. Skoronski is the best offensive lineman in his class, has all the physical skills to be a solid run blocker and pass protector, and although he has dominated at right tackle, he has experience playing guard and can play on the interior of the offensive line for any team. He's very agile and balanced for his size, and he does a good job of adjusting his hands and feet when engaged in a blocking assignment to avoid being penalized. He has great balance. Like when someone pushes him, he's able to quickly readjust without being knocked over, and he's able to continue blocking. So that would be huge for the Raiders. Okay, that is how I think the NFL draft order will be. Obviously, we still have 3 weeks of games left, so that stuff could change, but that's how I see the draft order and the top 10 of the draft playing out as of now, before week 16. Now I just want to quickly take a look at some other quick headlines from around the sporting world. So I want to talk about quickly the Ottawa Redblacks, who announced their coaching staff for 2023. Obviously, previous special teams coordinator Bob Dice has retained the head coaching role, and he has attracted some big names to Ottawa, which is going to make for an interesting season when the team's fully healthy with Jeremiah Masoli at the helm at quarterback. Bob Dice will be joined by offensive coordinator and assistant head coach Kahari Jones, who excelled in Montreal in the last couple of years, defensive coordinator Baron Miles, receivers coach and pass game coordinator Travis Moore, offensive line coach Paul Charbonneau, running backs coach Nate Taylor, special teams coach Corey McDiarmid, defensive line coach and run game coordinator Mike Fair, linebackers coach Patrick Bourgon, and defensive backs coach Alex Suber. So those are some pretty big names. So I think, a head coach is only as good as the parts around him, and these are some pretty big names filling in all these crucial coaching positions. So I think with Bob Dice and all the guys around him, and with a fully healthy roster, I think Ottawa can contend for a playoff spot in the CFL next year. Finally, with the snowstorm that's scheduled to hit Ottawa tonight, the game against the Washington Capitals will proceed as planned tonight, but Ottawa hosting the Red Wings tomorrow, December 23rd, has been postponed to February 27th because of the impending snowstorm. I don't know how serious it's going to be, but clearly it's pretty serious if they're postponing the game. Okay, and the final thing I want to do is I want to predict all of the Week 16 games in the NFL. So Thursday Night Football, which is tonight, I have the Jaguars defeating the Jets in a somewhat close game. And then on to Saturday's games, I have the Ravens beating the Falcons. That's not going to be particularly close. I have the Lions beating the Panthers because the Lions are trying to make the playoffs. I have the Chiefs over the Seahawks. The Seahawks are going to make it interesting for a half, and then the Chiefs are going to run away with it. Although, to be fair to the Seahawks, the Chiefs haven't looked that great in the last couple weeks. They took Houston to overtime. The Browns are going to beat the Saints. The Titans are going to steamroll the Texans because Derrick Henry loves to have great games against the Texans. The Bengals are going to beat the Patriots. The Vikings are going to beat the Giants. That's not going to be particularly close. The Vikings aren't going to fall 33-0 down to the Giants, I'll tell you that much. The Bills are going to beat the Bears in what's going to be a pretty close game. Both teams are going to have to rely heavily on the run game because of the weather. The 49ers are going to beat the Commanders. I originally had the Eagles beating the Cowboys, but because Jalen Hurts has been ruled out, I'm going to have to lean with the favorite. I'm going to have to lean with Dallas. If Jalen Hurts was playing low, I'd pick the Eagles. And then I have the Steelers beating the Raiders. And I just want to take a minute to offer my condolences to the family of Franco Harris, who passed away suddenly yesterday. The timing is just super unfortunate because he was going to have his number retired. He was going to be the third Pittsburgh Steeler in franchise history to have his number retired. And it was going to happen this Saturday, so 2 days from now. But he unfortunately passed away yesterday. So my condolences to his family and his friends, and may his soul rest in peace. Continuing on with the picks, I have the Dolphins beating the Packers on Christmas Day. I have the Broncos beating the Rams in an ultimate tank bowl. I have the Buccaneers beating the Cardinals, and I have the Chargers beating the Colts. All right, that is all I have for you guys today. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate all the support. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video, and let me know what content you'd like to see for future videos, because I can definitely try to work that in. Have a happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.